Chapter 58. Unknown. My eyes opened into pitch blackness. The darkness was so profoundly deep that it felt like cloth pressed against my face. The air felt heavy, sticky even, clinging to my skin like a million tiny hands gripping me. Behind me, I could sense a high power level. I whip around, my eyes meeting his. An unknown frost demon floats there, his form somehow brightly lit against the pressing darkness. "I see you're finally awake," he says, watching me warily. As the words filter slowly through my mind, it brings along with it image after image of chaos. Namek. My body explodes, the energy contained within so much more than I could handle. At the same time my body gray, expanding, even as I rushed towards Nail. My expanding hand wrapped tightly around his throat, ripping him away from Kakarot's body. His body, not him, his body. Another surge of rage, and with it, another boost to my power. My energy, already multitudes of times stronger than before, continues to skyrocket. I slam Nail into the ground, the landscape around us cracking for as far as the eye could see, even as I lift him into the air for another slam. A sharp beam of light slices through my shoulder from Nail's outstretched hand, but it heals as quickly as it appeared, slamming the Namekian headfirst into the ground. My fingers dig in, wrenching the creature from the ground to launch him skidding across the bluegrass. With a roar, my energy spikes even higher, my putrid green aura sparking around me. A ball of energy forms in my hand. The world around us seems to lose its color before I throw the attack full force at Nail. He barely managed to get to his feet, bringing up both hands to catch the attack. As he does, his hands are melting away, the heat of the attack burning hotter than the suns floating above. My large form slams into the ground behind him, grabbing his head and pushing him towards my attack. As his head is pressed into it, it explodes, coating the area in an inferno. I'm screaming, even as my rage continues to grow, as Nail barely manages to regrow his hands. His power continues to grow, but the gulf between us is far too large to transcend. With an explosion of light, my aura turns bright golden, spinning rapidly around me as it destroys the landscape in an ever-growing circle of energy. Nail pauses now, perhaps at last discovering his fatal mistake. He seems to speak, but I could not hear over my own screams of rage. Parts of my aura break off, little motes of energy that scour the ground and explode where they hit, miles and miles of once pristine land decimated in my rage. The sky darkens, which only fuels my anger as my energy expands into the sky above. The very clouds above seem to burn, twisting into a fiery inferno as my energy reaches a fever pitch. It seems almost sentient, Nail's form barely visible as he works to dodge the worst of it, my energy slicing away at him, piece by piece by piece. It seems that in my infinite rage that Namek would be lost before everything comes crashing down. An unseen force grabs me, pulling me backward into the void, and I knew no more. Time Nest. Things had calmed down for the time being, as Trunks and Cronoa stood watch over the time scrolls. Every now and then another scroll would appear corrupted, but before they were able to react, the corruption would already be clear. Whatever the Frost Demon was up to, he was traveling swiftly between points in time as though searching for something. With each new appearance, the worse the situation began to look. Unknown. As I came back to the present, I couldn't help but glare at the Frost Demon. I used Observe to gather what information I could on him. Name, sub, race, Frost Demon. Age, 7 years. Status, alive. HP, 432,400. LVL, 10. Sub is a Frost Demon hailing from Universe 19, Timeline 1. His curiosity and bravado tends to get the best of him. That's helpful. I think. Where are we? I asked, considering what I had learned. We're in a dimension called the Dead Zone. It exists outside of time and space, he replied calmly, eyeing me. How did you end up here? Betrayal, I answered. That, and my own failures. I looked around us, stretching my senses out as far as they could go. It seemed that beyond Sub, whose power level was a little less than a third mine, we were completely alone. Either that, or the Dead Zone blocked my senses past a certain distance. How about yourself? Asked, focusing back on Sub. What led to you being here? There was a minuscule grimace on his face as he said, I underestimated my opponents because I was physically stronger than them. They took me by surprise and sealed me away before I could react. He watched my reaction, which was nodding, before finally introducing himself. I am Sub, from the planet Chilled. A pleasure to meet you. Interesting, I thought, before finally replying. I'm KLL, nice to meet you. Now, let's say we get the fuck out of here. The Frost Demon stared at me for a moment before finding his voice. I assume you have a way out of there then? Not particularly, no, I reply, as I spin in a slow circle. but I tend to just wing it and see what sticks. It's worked out for me so far. That's foolish, Sub says as I rotate back to face him. A well-thought-out plan is a requirement for any true strategy. I shrug, continuing my study of the dead zone. If there is a way in, there is a way out. I've twice seen the dead zone open using a wish, but I know of at least 2 other times it was opened using magic or portals. Portals, you say? He hummed to himself. I can form portals to some degree, but at the moment, I can only use it to travel short distances. I don't believe it's strong enough yet to hop between dimensions. I see. What other abilities do you have? I ask. Portals? I'll admit that I'm rather limited as far as abilities are concerned. I'm strong, but that's it for the moment. Nothing that will help us escape, he explains. Not without new feats. He trails off, and I nod, agreeing. Wait, what did he just say? I think, turning back towards him. Feats. Oh, that's nothing important. He replies quickly, turning away. Nothing? No, it means you're a gamer. He freezes, before slowly turning back to me. I could see the truth in his eyes. I wasn't quite as alone this time as I thought. Yeah, man. There's a tournament between the different timelines of your universe. I explain happily. I lost the first time, but I plan to break shit this time. It took no time at all for our conversation to shift to the events of our lives, and what led to us being here. Sub was on his first playthrough, and had yet to experience the endgame. Sadly, it seemed our lives and universes were so drastically different that most of my knowledge was useless. What an interesting turn of events, he says, smiling. Outside of being stuck here, I'd say this was fortunate. I roll my eyes slightly. Way to kill the mood, dude. We're only stuck here for as long as it takes us to think of a way out. Do you remember anything from canon or fuck it, even fanon that may help? I've seen some wild things so far, so I wouldn't be surprised. We could fight, he asks. If I win, I may gain enough experience to level up and get new feats. I study him for a moment, willing ourselves into a battle. Battles start. Enemies. Sub LVL 10. EXP 0. My system doesn't seem to assign any EXP to you. I don't think that will work. He frowns, seemingly lost in thought. I shake my head, thinking back. Time rings. Trunks' time machine, the Kais? I think. What else? Mage in view. The darkness around us seems to echo the word, spoken together, as though the pronouncement alone would set us free. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I ask. Mage in view used his strength and screaming to break open a portal between the hyperbolic time chamber and Earth, he replies. Not just him, I think. As did Gotenks and Piccolo, I reply. We don't have that kind of power unless you're secretly a Super Saiyan 3? He asks, studying me. I grimace, before shaking my head. No, not quite. But I think the barrier between the Earth and the chamber would likely be stronger. Due to the time difference, how strong could the barrier here be if Garlic Jr. managed to break through? Only one way to find out then, he replies, before turning to face me. The Frost Demon had some lungs on him, I'd give him that. His dark pink aura bled into the darkness around us, the light flickering as he screamed his power into the shadows. Not wanting to waste time, I pushed my power out around me, my bright putrid green aura mixing with his, pouring into darkness. Our energy seemed at first to war against each other, but it seemed to follow our intentions. Our screams melded into one, our energy empowering our voices thousands of times over. Ahaha. It seemed, however, that what we currently had simply wasn't enough. We're not strong enough. Sub said, letting his power drop. This isn't going to work. Fuck. I yell in frustration. This would be so much easier if I had access to Super Saiyan. You can't even go Super Saiyan yet? He asked, looking at me closely. When you said you weren't a Super Saiyan 3, I had assumed that you might have at least got to Super Saiyan 1. You're one to talk, I replied, smirking. You haven't even gotten to your third form, apparently. He rolled his eyes and looked away, concentrating on something only he could see. On that note, why haven't you unlocked your third form? I asked curiously. He finished scrolling, before shrugging. It seems like there are 2 different ways. I either have to 100% master my second form, which is measured by a mastery system, or I find another way. When I unlocked my second form, I didn't need to master my first form. I just had to manipulate my energy in a specific way, which granted me access. And how did you manipulate it last time? I asked, almost excited. This could be the break we needed. I had to be calm. It was like I was accepting my new body for the first time, realizing that although it's different from my last body, it's still mine, he said, seemingly reminiscing. My energy normally boils within me. I needed to accept myself and allow my energy to calm. I nodded, understanding what he meant. What is it? He asked in my nod. In my last life, I didn't unlock Super Saiyan Grade 2, 3, or Super Saiyan 2 through feats, or mastery, or anything like that. It was pure energy manipulation. I explained, lifting my hand. I pool my energy into my palm, less concentrated than an attack would be. The balls seemed to float, just barely touching my skin, wispy, little pieces breaking off and fading away. My energy was like smoke or fluid. But as I got better at controlling it, I was able to do so much more with it. I explained. I concentrate, pushing more energy into my palm, but not allowing the energy to expand. As I do, it thickens, no longer smoke, but almost solid, yet clearly flowing. By compressing it and forcing it into my muscles, I was able to ascend further. It slowed me down like Trunks, but with instant transmission, that wasn't an issue. And for Super Saiyan 2? He asked, the light of my energy flickering in his eyes. I frowned, wondering if I had the control I would need for this. I let the energy expand, yet flow in and out of my palm as it did so. It flowed, running down and around my hand and wrist, nearly to my elbow. As it did so, little sparks of energy popped and crackled around it. By filling the air around me, allowing the energy to flow through me, it pushed me far past the limits of my body. So I think, instead of pushing your energy down, forcing it to be calm, let it rage. Let it rage, boil over. You said you needed calm, right? Let your energy flow. The calm before the storm. The frost demon considered my words, before a look of concentration came over his face. His energy, admittedly calm before, seemed to spark around him, little motes of energy sliding off of his skin and into the air like gems. Yeah, like that. I yelled excitedly. I pushed my own energy out, letting the energy flow around us like a warm embrace. My aura, normally putrid green-yellow, was significantly lighter now. You're not a creature of calm, sub. Let the storm rage. I yell. He began to scream as his energy exploded around him. His body shuddered, shaking, almost vibrating in the darkness. His already tall form seems to grow larger as his skull begins to extend backward. His body shifts within his skin, his bones growing, thickening as his body changes. His armor grew across his form, spikes jutting out seemingly at random. His horns shifted, growing together to form a single large horn. His tail lengthened, growling several feet, ending in a serrated blade that looked sharp enough to cut steel. His power level, previously a third of my own, exploded to multiple times what I was putting out. His screams grew lower, the sticky darkness around us shaking, as I pushed more and more energy out to match his own. More. I yelled, pushing everything I had out. My power level jumped again, but not enough to make a difference. It's not enough. He yells back. The void around us flexes but bounces back with each push. Fuck F-U-C-K. I think. We're so close. I need to go further. Fuck. I yell, pushing even harder. H hit me. As soon as I say it, his energy cuts out as he turns towards me. Wait, what? I push even harder, forcing more energy out. Fucking hit me, and then get away. Yeah, I'm not into that kinky shit, Scion. He replies as his power level drops back down. I release the energy I was pushing out, huffing at the sudden loss. What? No. Dummy, no. Fucking hit me. He stares at me for a moment before shrugging. He appears in front of me, inches away, as his fist slams crunchingly into my stomach. His fist is nearly as big as my midsection, so it doubles me over, causing me to retch into the darkness. No. Fuck. I say, coughing. When we're both powered up, the hell is wrong with you? Me? You're the one asking me to slap you around, he says, giving me a weird look. I cough again, before wiping my mouth. My energy flickers back to life around me, filling the air with its bright golden light. His does the same, mixing together, coalescing around us. We scream, forcing every bit of our energy out, the void again shuddering around us. Please fucking work, please fucking work. I think, before yelling now. With a shink noise, his tail's spikes retract, and his tail slams into my side, sending a jolt of pain through my system. I force my mind to consider his new power, his new stature. A threat, a powerful being. I think as time slows to a crawl around me. Warning. The warning flickers to life, even as my power level explodes. I'm forcing my mind to ignore the red coating my vision as I force my energy out and around us. The color of my aura fades from gold, growing brighter and brighter green as my blood begins to boil inside of me. Agga! I scream as my energy explodes again. My aura grows even brighter, drowning out everything beyond it. As my vision fades to red once more, I know that in seconds my control will be gone. As my screams grow larger, my muscles begin to expand, my body growing rapidly. With a crack, the darkness around us shatters. For a moment, I see stars before it all fades to a deep, dark red.